Part 22. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 211. Liquor. Something intoxicating. On this day, Su Xian finally realized what it means to be the best in the world. The wine prepared by Moira made him experience the feeling of being drunk for the first time. It is a delicacy that intoxicates the soul. No wonder Moira was able to make the entire Blue Star senior management make way for her. Not to mention Moira's strength, her bartending skills alone were enough to conquer countless people. Lin Suying's cheeks were red and she fell into Su Xian's arms, drunk. Su Xian was also a little drunk, but it was not enough to make him drunk. Of course, if a powerful king doesn't want to get drunk, he can't get drunk with a glass of wine. Lin Suying fell into Su Xian's arms purely because she wanted to get drunk. Use drunkenness to relieve your sorrow. Looking at Lin Suying lying in Su Xian's arms, Moira smiled and said, "It seems that Xiao Suying really trusts you. She would never let herself get drunk in the past. Even if it is me, she will remain a little wary, but she is willing to fall into your arms, tisk tisk tisk. I'm envious." Su Xian responded, "She has been burdened too much and it's time to take a rest." "Moira, can you tell me what the plan is?" "I don't know either," Moira shook her head, "only Xiao Suying knows the whole plan. I am only responsible for one part of it." She took a sip of the wine. "Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you, otherwise Xiao Suying would blame me." Su Xian asked again, "You said that you need someone who is absolutely trustworthy to go to Lulan Star to get that thing back. Now you have also seen that maybe in Su Ying's heart, I am the only person who is trustworthy." The smile on Moira's face became even stronger. "You do like to boast, so what? Xiao Suying is not willing to let you take risks." Su Xian's eyes were firm. "She doesn't want me to take risks, and I don't want her to bear the burden alone." Moira said, "Have you ever thought that if you go to Lulan Star, you will be in a place where everyone is the enemy? No one around you is trustworthy, and any slightest risk may make you buried in a foreign country. You are still young, have a bright future, and plenty of room for growth, so why bother? Su Suandeo, if this matter really concerns the entire Blue Star, then since I am a member of Blue Star, I have an unshirkable responsibility." "Definitely." Moira waved her hand, "It's useless for you to talk to me about the justice of the human race. I will not interfere with Xiao Suying's decision, let alone make it for her. If she's a man, just use a man's way to convince her, that's it." Su Xian was helpless. Moira didn't buy his account at all. He could only continue drinking. A few hours later, Lin Suying woke up and turned around. Su Xian was the only one left in the small room of the tavern, and Moira had long disappeared. "Is she gone?" Lin Suying asked. "Yes," Su Xian said, "not long after you got drunk, she left." Lin Suying rubbed her eyebrows and said softly, "Moira's bartending skills are getting better and better. She finally got drunk once and felt very comfortable. She had a big dream." "What did you dream about?" "Dream?" Lin Suying adjusted her position and rested her head on Su Xian's thigh. She closed her eyes and smiled. "I dreamed that we were walking hand in hand with the little carp under the sunset. There is a very naughty child in my belly who keeps kicking me in the belly. If you tell him not to kick my mother, he will really stop kicking me. I think my younger brothers and sisters will definitely be as good as Xiao Li when they become sensible. That life is so good. There is no lowland star in the dream, and there are no professionals. Just like in the old times, everyone is ordinary people living a peaceful life." Lin Suying's voice was gentle and calm. She crushed the story in her dream into pieces, bit by bit, and shared it with Su Xian in detail, not wanting to miss any detail. Su Xian listened quietly. It wasn't until a ray of sunlight fell from the east window that she finished telling the story in her dream. Those were all small things in life, and there were no legends about destroying cities and rivers and turning the world upside down. Some are just happiness and warmth in life. Su Xian's fantasy retirement story is probably the same. Perhaps only two compatible souls can make a trivial life full of sweetness. Stepping on the setting sun, the two of them left the tavern and strolled down the street. The outside world is still so busy, and wounded people pass by from time to time. The stories in the dreams are illusions after all. Both of them know how serious the situation in front of them is. After a long time, Su Xian finally spoke. Su Ying, do you have a suitable candidate in mind for the person who went to Lulin Star to do that?
Yes, I have.
Lin Suying smiled and said, there are so many professionals in Blue Star, and there are many who are better than me. There must be suitable people. You don't need to worry about this. Actually, I want to. Don't think about it. Lin Suying directly interrupted Su Xian's words. She looked at Su Xian and said, have you forgotten how family status is divided? If you can't beat me, you have to listen to me. Let's wait and see when you can beat me. Su Xian smiled bitterly. Honey, can you stop being so domineering? How about I make an advance? Anyway, you will definitely not be able to beat me in the future. Humph, Lin Suying snorted softly, I don't care, I won't listen. Anyway, if you dare to act privately, don't touch me again in the future. Su Xian. This is woman. The two of them stopped talking about this topic. Su Xian could only change the subject, then when will we go to the other three forbidden areas? We need to be more prepared, Lin Suying said. During this period, I will collect materials everywhere, fight and practice, until I am confident enough to go to the next place. Then I will accompany you. Su Xian had nothing to do, anyway, he didn't need to practice. But Wang Ho, Miao Tian and Xiaoliu were trying hard to help him find supplements. No, Lin Suying rejected him again. From today on, you will return to Dingai King City. Lulin Star has issued a supreme hunting order for you. With their intelligence network, it is only a matter of time before they find out your identity. The battlefield between the two worlds is no longer safe for you. Su Xian just remembered this. The supreme hunting order of Lulin Star seems to have never failed. All those who were listed in the hunting order were sniped in the end. Of course, the price Lulin Star paid for each kill would be more severe. But Lulin Star can afford the loss, but it is not so easy for Blue Star to produce a genius. Lin Suying turned around, hugged Su Xian's waist, and her voice became gentle. Please, Su Xian, go back first, okay? Don't let me worry. I also promise you that I will do what I can and never take risks. This is our agreement. When I go back, I will marry you. Let's get married and announce it to the world, so that everyone in the world knows that I, Lin Suying, am your wife, Su Xian. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 212. Blue Star, Dingai King City. Entrance to the third line of defense. With the flashing of the teleportation light, after 3 months, Su Xian returned to Blue Star again. After spending so long with Lin Suying every day, the sudden departure made Su Xian feel dazed. He finally came back. In order not to worry Suying, and for his own plan. His strength is not weak, but in the upper level game, it is still too bad. When the war comes, the growth potential is nothing. Real-time combat power is the key factor that determines the direction of the war. It's the first time I feel anxious. Su Xian laughed at himself. The first thing to do in old age is to tie your partner to your side. When he walked out of the entrance of the defense line, a soldier came to meet him. Seeing Su Xian's appearance, several soldiers were stunned. Are you Mr. Su Xian? The leading soldier asked. Su Xian was stunned. When did he become so famous? Even the name of the king of soft rice should not be spread here, right? I'm Su Xian. Su Xian nodded and said, "What's the matter?" "It's really you." The soldier was surprised. King Wuan gave a special order. "Once you appear at the entrance of the defense line, let us notify him immediately." Su Xian realized that it was King Wuan who gave the order. No wonder. The soldier dialed the Sky Eye video communication in front of Su Xian and called King Wuan's number directly. Not long after, King Wuan's face appeared on the screen. The soldier said respectfully, "Number 21 of the 1st Squad of the garrison at the entrance of the 3rd defense line of Longguo has seen King Wuan." "King Wuan, Mr. Su is back." "He's back." King Wuan on the other side of the video was immediately not calm. "Let him answer the video." "Junior Su Xian has seen King Wuan." Su Xian smiled and saluted. "You kid, you are really lucky." The moment he saw Su Xian in person, King Wuan's heart finally relaxed. This kid has unlimited potential. If there is any mistake, he will be heartbroken. No matter what other high-level officials think, in his eyes, Su Xian and Lin Suying are both people who will carry the banner of the entire Dragon Kingdom in the future. "Thank you, King Wuan, for your concern," Su Xian said with a smile. "Well, you wait for me in Dingai King City. I'm coming from Longdu City to see you now. I have something to tell you." "No need to bother." Su Xian said, "Junior will go to Longdu City in a few days, and then I will visit you again." King Wuan said, "Okay, then you should take care of your own things first, and I will come to see you when I arrive in Longdu City." The video was hung up. Su Xian breathed a sigh of relief and walked outside. "Mr. Su, take care." The soldiers saw him off and were very respectful to him. This surprised Su Xian a little. When did he become so popular? Wasn't he always looked down upon and scolded as a gigolo in the past? Going to the battlefield between the two worlds, has the wind vane changed? Walking on the street, some people who recognized him also smiled kindly at him. Not long after, Su Xian returned to the Shuiya Palace. As soon as he walked outside the small courtyard, he heard a chattering voice coming from inside. "Pink Bubble Mare. When do you think Mom will come back? Little tree, what do you think of the teacher? I don't know if the teacher has found her mother. Senior brother Mu has not taken me to play since he had sister Xiao Shuang. The cow-horse combination has only horses but no cows. Alas." Pink Bubble Mare and World Sapling were dizzy. They were tired. Every day, they had to listen to the little master's nagging countless times. Why is the little master's trouble different from other children? Su Xian stood outside the small courtyard, looking at the cute little carp, and his emotions were hard to describe. The more innocent and happy the little carp was now, the more worried he was. As Su Ying's plan progressed, the identity of the little carp might also surface. He didn't know what kind of changes would happen at that time. The eye of the divine mentor was opened. Data emerged. Root bone value, 190. Comprehension value, 200. Mind value, 24. Existing physique or bloodline, none. Suitable physique or bloodline, 100% compatible with the 9 heavens female emperor body. In a short period of time, Xylee has entered the starry realm, completely leaving her peers far behind. Her root bone value and talent value are also growing rapidly. Except for her mind, everything else is incomparable. Xylee. Su Xian called softly. Xylee, who was squatting on the ground and drawing circles, trembled, suddenly raised her little head, and tears flowed down. "Teacher." She rushed over and threw herself into Su Xian's arms. She wiped her snot and tears all over Su Xian's clothes. "Wow! Teacher, you are finally back, I miss you so much." This is how strong a child is. When she had no one to rely on, she could only hold back her tears. When she had someone to rely on, she burst into tears. Su Xian held her and gently comforted her. "It's okay, the teacher is back, Xylee is good. She cried for a while. Xylee looked around with tearful eyes. Teacher, where is my mother? Didn't she come back with you? Didn't you go to the battlefield between the two worlds to find my mother? She asked 3 questions in a row. Su Xian was stunned for a moment. He was wondering whether he should tell Xylee about what happened with Su Ying. After thinking about it, he still didn't say it. Such an important matter should be told to Xylee by Su Ying herself. Mom is still in the battlefield between the two worlds. She has something else to do and can't come back now. Su Xian comforted, in order to be with Xylee forever in the future, Mom has been working hard. She misses you too. Xylee pouted immediately. I know, teacher, are you going to leave again soon? Are you going to find Mom again? Su Xian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This child is too smart. He could only continue to comfort her. You also want your mother to come back soon, right? Then the teacher will also go to help her. The teacher promised you that when we come back, we will definitely give you a big surprise. How about it? Xiao Li's eyes lit up. What big surprise? Su Xian smiled. I can't tell you now, you have to tell you in person. Okay. Xiao Li nodded heavily, and asked for credit again. Teacher, you see, I have cultivated to the starry realm. Last time, the 5th junior brother helped me contact Dingai Academy. When school starts in September, I can go to Dingai Academy to study. Xiao Li is great. Su Xian touched her head, full of pampering. The master and apprentice chatted for a long time. Xiao Li was like a reincarnation of 100,000 wise. She grabbed Su Xian and asked a lot of questions, from Longdu City to the battlefield between the two worlds, and even planned part of her mother's lifelong event. The little cotton jacket was worried. Until she was very tired, she fell asleep in Su Xian's arms. Su Xian gently placed her on the bed, closed the door, and left. Outside the small courtyard, a mountain-like figure was waiting for Su Xian. It was the giant spirit king who was resurrected by Su Xian. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 213. Mr. Su. Girl King, thank you for your hard work. The two met and said hello with a smile. The giant spirit king did not go looking for Su Xian because Su Xian told him the night before the finals of the Global Higher Education Exchange competition that if something unexpected happened, he had to protect several disciples first. Therefore, he always followed several disciples. It doesn't matter. The giant spirit king admired Su Xian very much. Mr. Su came back from the battlefield of the two realms, and he seems to have become a lot stronger. It is really impressive that he can locate the battlefield of the two realms in the rift of another dimension. Basic operations. Su Xian joked, you don't have to learn any skills. You have to practice to the extreme to save your life. Ha ha ha. The giant spirit king laughed. By the way, Zhang Mu has returned to Qingzhou City and said he would take Xiaoshuang to worship his parents. Su Xian didn't pay much attention. Let him go. Now is the time for summer vacation, and it is also a rare day for students to relax. The two chatted for a while about recent events. After a long time, the giant spirit king hesitated and said, Mr. Su, do you have anything else you need me to do? Su Xian had already guessed what the giant spirit king was thinking. A generation of strong men who have been crowned kings cannot be patient and serve as bodyguards for a group of brats, especially those sages who have died once and understand the pain of war better. A peaceful life is on pins and needles for them. Because they know that the peace in front of them is not real peace, they cannot enjoy this kind of peace, and they hope to go to the battlefield to kill the enemy and exchange for real peace for future generations. You want to go to the battlefield of two worlds, right? Su Xian smiled and said, go if you want to. If you see a few of my experienced disciples on the battlefield, please help me if you have the opportunity. The giant spirit king clasped his fists, that's natural. Then Mr. Su, let's say goodbye. He took 2 steps and then went back and bowed to Su Xian, thank you Mr. Su. This departure may be a farewell. You are the most promising genius I have ever seen. Mr. Su will definitely become a great talent in the country in the future. It's great to have you in the Dragon Kingdom. Su Xian cupped his fists and bowed slightly, returned the gift, and said seriously, Su Xian, I would like to send you the Giant Spirit King. Watch the Giant Spirit King leave. Su Xian turned around and returned to the house. He walked to the side of the stupid penguin. The little thing was still sleeping soundly, sleeping. Get up and work. He shook the stupid penguin awake. Master, what's wrong? The stupid penguin woke up from his dream in confusion. I'm so sleepy, Master, what are you going to do? A black line crossed Su Xian's forehead. How could this penguin, who sleeps all day and doesn't do his job, have the nerve to say the word again? I want to create a body. Well. The stupid penguin sighed, Master, you are squeezing your spiritual pet. How can you work for so long for 1 hour a month? You are simply a black-hearted capitalist from the old era. Su Xian. Bang. Without saying a word, he hit him with a flying kick. However, Penguin's defense was too strong, and even a kick from him in the Marquis state was not painful or itchy. 11 come out. Su Xian took out the magic sword from the ring of clear spring flowing sound. 11 soul floated out of the magic sword. Apophis also floated out, but this time he was wearing clothes. The moment she saw the silly penguin, Apophis's expression changed, and her soul body was trembling. From this silly penguin, she felt the suppression of the superior. In other words, the quality of this silly penguin is higher than hers. And not far outside, there is an aura that is not weaker than the stupid penguin. Apophis was confused. She suddenly realized that she was not so noble anymore. No wonder Su Xian didn't care about her very much. It turned out that she was nothing in front of Su Xian. Su Xian didn't care about Apophi's reaction and said, 11 pass on your thoughts to me, and I will gather the most suitable body for you. Thank you, teacher. 11 and Bawang Ho Miao Tian have already become husband and wife, and it is not an exaggeration to praise Su Xian as a teacher. What's more, Su Xian was kind enough to save her life. Su Xian sensed 11's thoughts and everything was ready. Following the guidance of the silly penguin, he quickly entered the mysterious world of consciousness. That world where he is the god of creation. In his endless thoughts, Su Xian created the prototype that was most suitable for 11's body. The energy of heaven and earth is gathering crazily at this moment. Nowadays, the energy of heaven and earth in the palace is very rich under the nourishment of the world's saplings. It has reached the level where a dog can enter the silver level after staying there for 2 days. According to the determined ideology, Su Xian began to condense 11's body. Compared to the last time, it was much easier for Su Xian, who had now reached the realm of feudal lord, to condense his body again. Under the constant process of reproduction and reorganization, 11's body gradually took shape. As the light is restrained, the body is condensed. 11's soul entered the new body and quickly adapted. Feeling the power of flesh and blood, 11 burst into tears. She finally back. 11 congratulations. You've been thinking about this for more than 100 years, and you finally became a human again. Apophis smiled uglier than crying, if I hadn't tempted you to sacrifice, you wouldn't be like this. I'm sorry. 11 wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes and forced out a smile, it doesn't matter, if it weren't for you, Miao Tian and I might have died in the Screaming Cave. Those times are considered as repayment for you saving us. Apophis said reluctantly, can I see you again in the future? Sure. 11ER hugged her gently and said, you can come to me at any time. It would be great if you were also human. We will definitely become the best friends. Apophis' soul body was shocked. What if I was human too? This sentence made her fall into deep thought, and her eyes turned to Su Xian. Su Xian spread his hands and said, don't look at me. You are a sword spirit raised from a demon sword. The demon sword is the most suitable for you. If you forcefully change the carrier, death will be the only thing waiting for you. Apophis was hit hard by Su Xian's words. Men and swords have different paths. After all, it was impossible. The shocked Apophis got into the magic sword and became completely silent. Su Xian put her into the ring. 11ER smiled bitterly and said, teacher, Apophis is not bad-hearted. In fact, I don't want her to find the sword puppet, and I hope she has a master who loves her. The sword puppet will make her unable to control herself. With the continuous killing, she will eventually become the ultimate evil sword spirit like the demon sword itself. If there is a master, as long as the master can stick to his heart, she will not become like that. Su Xian smiled, it's all up to chance. He promised to help Apophis find a strong yin attribute person. This was inherently difficult, and it would be unclear who would be able to control whom. Su Xian suddenly thought of something and said again. By the way 11ER, Zhejiang Wang Miaoxian should be your son, right? 11ER was stunned, has Xiener already been crowned king? Yes, Su Xian nodded, now the king of Zhejiang is the governor of Dingai city. I'm going to see him. 11ER's happiness was beyond words. She was standing on this land as a human being again. She had so many things she wanted to do. As a mother, the thing she wanted to see most was naturally her son. She added, teacher, please go with me. Our family can be reunited again, thanks to you. No. Su Xian smiled and waved his hand, it's not appropriate for me to go when your mother and son are reunited. When I think of that scene. He was afraid that King Zhejiang would not be able to say master. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 214. In the days that followed, Su Xian played with Xiao Li for quite some time. He originally wanted to take Xiao Li to Longdu during the summer vacation, but the Supreme Pursuit Order from the Council of 10,000 Tribes made him give up the idea. It was still too dangerous to take Xiao Li with him. Only Dingai King City, sheltered by the World Tree Sapling, is an absolutely safe place. One morning in mid-July, Su Xian returned to Longdu City. When he came to the world's largest capital again, he found that the security here was much tighter than before. There were sentries every 100 meters in the streets and alleys. He guessed that everything was due to the influence of the Abyss incident. During the finals of the Global Higher Education Exchange competition, an abyssal invasion almost caused catastrophe. No one expected that Abyss would find a medium space to enter the Blue Star world. Fortunately, this space was in Longdu City, and he happened to encounter him again and was suppressed. If it appears elsewhere, I am afraid that the abyssal creatures have already rushed into the Blue Star. After getting off the spaceship, Su Xian went straight to Longdu Academy. Teacher, here. Before reaching the school gate, Xianyu and Qing came over and circled happily around Su Xian a few times. Teacher, you scared us to death. At that time we all thought you were going to. Her eyes suddenly turned red and filled with tears. Su Xian smiled and said, it's not so easy to die as a teacher. Didn't the giant spirit king tell you that I'm still alive? Xianyu and Qing whispered, but the disciple is still worried. It's okay. Su Xian changed the subject. Qing, you should have graduated now, right? Are you planning to stay at Longdu University next? Aunt Chiu asked me to follow her and be her deputy. Xianyuan Qinking's eyes were firm. Teacher, you also know that I am not good at fighting and prefer alchemy. So I plan to travel around the world and visit alchemy masters from various countries after studying with Aunt Chiu for a period of time. I must become the most powerful alchemist in the world. Just have your own ideas, and chase whatever you want. Su Xian expressed his approval. No matter what you do, my teacher will stand behind you. You don't have to be afraid of failure. In the worst case, you will have to start over from scratch. My teacher will take care of everything for you. Although alchemy is a secondary profession, its influence is no weaker than that of most main professions. A powerful alchemist's influence on the battle situation is far greater than that of ordinary professionals. If Lao San can really reach the pinnacle of alchemy, it will be enough to affect the direction of the entire battlefield. Whether it's poison, puppet making, or the development of potions that enhance healing, they are all things that can change the situation of the battle. He, the teacher is so kind. You are the light of my life. Xianyuan Qingqing was in a bright mood. I am afraid that the only person in the world who dares to tell me the truth is my own teacher. Let's go and see the great craftsman first. The master and apprentice walked towards the residence of the great master craftsman. Not long after, the two arrived at the forging room of the great master craftsman. As soon as they arrived at the door, they heard the voice of the master craftsman coming from inside. The only legendary quality 1000 chance umbrella in the world, your master is here to pick you up. Su Xian smiled helplessly, bowed his hands and said, Junior Su Xian, I have seen the great master craftsman. Come in. Whoosh. The 1000 chance umbrella fell into Su Xian's hands. Su Xian took the 1000 planes umbrella, a familiar feeling came over him, and with the thought, the 1000 planes umbrella changed shape. No matter which form it was, it reached the standard of legendary quality. Although weapons of legendary quality cannot give birth to weapon spirits, they can still cultivate spirituality. It can reach the point where the mind of the master is connected. The master craftsman looked at Su Xian with satisfaction. As a blacksmith, he is happiest when the weapons he crafted with care can find a suitable owner. Su Xian can control every form of the 1000 planes umbrella at will, which is enough to prove that he has been recognized by the 1000 planes umbrella. Good. The master craftsman praised, I didn't waste any of my efforts. I heard that you were almost beaten to death a few days ago, and you were so scared that I couldn't sleep for half a month. Thank you, great master craftsman, for your concern. Su Xian smiled and said, please rest assured that the 1000 chance umbrella will not be humiliated in the hands of this junior. He changed the subject, that, junior also wants to ask you something. The master craftsman puffed his beard and glared, do you know how much effort I put into making the 1000 chance umbrella? Half of your life is gone, and you still miss me working as a coolie for you. Su Xian said sarcastically, juniors can add more money. The master craftsman said disdainfully, you can't add anything today. How about, you read the materials first and then answer this junior. The ring on Su Xian's hand flashed and he threw out a small piece of bone. What do you think of this? The moment he saw the bone, the great master craftsman who had originally dismissed it suddenly widened his eyes. What kind of creature's bone is this? It has such a strong evil nature. He glanced at the bone, held it in his hand and examined it carefully. His eyes gradually changed, and he could not hide his shock. This. Boy, where did you get this and how many more do you have? The master craftsman was extremely excited. If you can get me a complete spine, no. Any arm bones, leg bones, or skulls will do. I can help you build them for free. As a master craftsman, he loved forging all his life. As long as it can help him achieve a breakthrough in forging skills, he doesn't care what he does. Su Xian smiled and said, I have what you want, that is. Just what? The master craftsman flashed in front of Su Xian, "I agree to any conditions, take out all the materials quickly." Su Xian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Don't get excited." He looked at the forging room of only 400 or 500 square meters. "What I mean is that this place is too small to store so many materials." The master craftsman was stunned. His body was shaking with excitement, and his words became stuttering. Are you telling the truth?" Su Xian nodded, "Absolutely true." Swoosh. The next second, Su Xian was taken to another place by the master craftsman. This is also a forging room, but it is much more spacious than before. Su Xian was secretly surprised. It seems that the master craftsman not only has superb forging skills, but also his own realm should not be low, at least the top level among the kings. But since he was crowned with the word God, I think the master craftsman should be much better at forging than practicing. Where are the materials? The master craftsman looked at Su Xian with burning eyes. Su Xian did not rush to take out the materials, but asked, "Master craftsman, I dare to ask, have you ever made mythical equipment?" "Of course." The master craftsman raised his head proudly, "I have made 3 pieces of mythical equipment in my life. Do you look down on me?" He sighed again, "It's just that mythical equipment also has different levels. The 3 mythical equipment I made are always a little worse. In my mind, the real mythical equipment should contain the spirit embryo from the moment it is born." "Spirit embryo?" Su Xian asked, "is it the embryo of the spirit of the weapon?" "Yes." The master craftsman nodded heavily, "That is the goal I have been pursuing all my life." "It is difficult." Su Xian smiled, "Since it is the lifelong wish of the senior, then I will do my best and hope to help the senior." The ring on his hand flickered. The corpse of the evil dragon as big as a hill appeared in front of the two. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 215. The evil aura instantly filled the entire forging room. The master craftsman was completely stunned. He stared blankly at the huge evil dragon body in front of him, his eyes full of disbelief. Plop! He fell directly to the ground, laughing and crying, and then stood up and ran, looking crazy. "Senior, are you okay?" Su Xian was scared and asked hurriedly. If the master craftsman of Longdu Academy was stimulated to become mentally ill, then the entire Longdu Academy would fight with him. Suddenly, the master craftsman turned his head and looked at him. That look! It made Su Xian feel hairy and his scalp numb. He stepped forward and grabbed Su Xian's forearm tightly. "What, senior? Don't call me senior in the future. We are brothers. I am your younger brother and you are my older brother." Su Xian. The master craftsman seemed to be really crazy. He thought that once the evil dragon's body was taken out, it would cause some impact on the master craftsman's mind, but he didn't expect that his head would be affected. "My dear brother, do you know what this means?" The master craftsman pointed to the body of the evil dragon. "You should know how difficult it is to get a complete body of a king-level monster, let alone this kind of specialized body. I can tell you responsibly that in the past 500 years, no one has ever obtained a complete body of a king-level monster. Not to mention, the body of this evil dragon has exceeded the limit of the king. If I can use it perfectly, I can create at least 50 legendary equipment. Its spine and horn even have the potential to be made into mythical equipment." He became more and more excited. "Now do you know how great a fortune it is for a forger? By the way, its flesh, fur, internal organs, etc. are also good things. They can be used by Ching Ching, the little girl, and they are also very useful for her alchemy." After being said by the master craftsman, Su Xian also realized that the body of the evil dragon was far more precious than he imagined. After all, when it was sealed to the point that only a head was left, the evil dragon almost killed him and Su Ying, which was enough to prove how amazing the evil dragon was. Su Xian had an idea in his mind and said, "Senior. Don't call me senior." Before he started talking, the master craftsman interrupted him directly, "I've already said that you will be my real brother from now on." Su Xian was speechless for a while. It's too outrageous. These geniuses in Longdu Academy are more abnormal than each other. This one is mentally ill. The soul Dr. Peixiu is physically abnormal. Is he really going to never stop on the road of supergeneration? Then I'll call you the master craftsman, Su Xian suggested. No. The master craftsman decisively refused, "If we are equals, then we are equals. Otherwise, I will feel uneasy using this evil dragon body. From now on, you can call me Big Hammer, which is my nickname." Big Hammer. Su Xian was silenced. "Okay, don't care too much about that kind of empty stuff, let's study this good thing first." The master craftsman's eyes lit up and he looked at the body of the evil dragon. "My dear brother, where did you get this thing?" "Secret." Su Xian certainly couldn't tell the master craftsman that he and his wife hunted it at the infinite altar. The master craftsman was also very sensible and didn't ask much. He took out a butcher knife and looked at the body of the evil dragon, and was already thinking about how to cut this huge guy. "Brother, how do you think you should cut it?" asked the master craftsman. "Don't call me brother," Su Xian smiled bitterly, "just call me by my name in the future. As for how to use this body, you can decide for yourself." "Okay, brother." The master craftsman sharpened his knife and rushed towards the evil dragon. Bang! The butcher knife chopped down, but it could only cut a small gap in the skeleton. But this did not undermine the master craftsman's self-confidence. There was a burning flame in his eyes, and he raised the butcher knife and continued to chop. Su Xian brought Xianyu and Qing over again. The moment she saw the corpse of the evil dragon, Xianyu and Qing was even more excited than the master craftsman. As the master craftsman said, the evil dragon is full of treasures. Its flesh, fur, internal organs are all first-class materials for alchemists. Su Xian thought for a while and said, "Master craftsman, I want to make some weapons or equipment for several disciples. I want a pair of boxing gloves, a pair of swords, and a set of inner armor. I also want a staff and a giant sword." This is also Su Xian's plan. It is a big improvement for several disciples and also a big improvement for himself. The boxing gloves and the two swords are for Zhangmu and Xiaoshuang. The inner armor is for Xiaoli. The staff is for Qing. Xiao Kong will inherit the Dingai stick sooner or later. The giant sword is for the fifth child Miao Tian. As for Xiao Lu, it seems that he does not need to be equipped with weapons or the like. I can only find some other good things for Xiao Lu in the future. No problem. The master craftsman is full of confidence. With this quality of material as a foundation, it would not take much effort to forge a weapon of legendary quality. Moreover, forging was a kind of enjoyment for him. Under Su Xian's gaze, the great craftsman and Xianyu and Qing began to scrape the body of the evil dragon. From day to night. The two worked for a long time, but only dismantled part of the evil dragon, mainly because the bones of the evil dragon were too difficult to cut. Su Xian wanted to help. But Apophis swore to die and would rather self-destruct than be used to chop bones, so he had no choice but to give up. That's it. It took a whole week for the great god craftsman and Xianyu and Qing to finish dividing the evil dragon. Both of them were very satisfied. The system voice sounded in Su Xian's ears. "Ding, you have given your disciple Xianyu and Qing a large amount of high-quality alchemical materials. Congratulations on triggering the 8,000-fold critical return and obtaining a demigod-level alchemical formula, Dal Sorrow. Dal Sorrow, demigod-level alchemical formula. This formula can be configured with a special substance Dal Sorrow, which can temporarily increase the power of the Dal to the level of a marquee. Tip: Doll's sorrow will improve the quality of the doll while also damaging the quality of the doll. Please use it with caution and cherish the materials. Su Xian was shocked. This thing is incredible. Although the power of the marquee level is nothing to him now, the puppets can be mass-produced. If they can be developed in large quantities and deployed on the battlefield, how terrifying will the power be? He looked at the third brother. Ching Ching, come here. Su Xian waved his hand. Master will give you a great treasure. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 216. What baby? Xianyu and Qing Qing came over. As an alchemist, the materials dug out from these evil dragons are already great treasures. But the things the teacher gives must be good things. She was convinced of this. Give. Su Xian handed the alchemy formula to Qing Qing. After seeing the words on the formula clearly, Xianyu and Qingqing's delicate body trembled and she took several steps back, somewhat unbelievable. Teacher, is this true? When has my teacher ever lied to you? Su Xian smiled and said, put it away, don't make any noise, and remember to use it with caution. Xianyu and Qing Qing nodded. Disciple understands. The doll's sorrow? A recipe for mass-producing feudal-level combat power. As an alchemist, Xianyu and Qing Qing knew very well how terrifying the influence of this thing was. If it is obtained by someone with evil intentions, it will definitely be a disaster. She put the formula away. On the other side, the master craftsman has also finished sorting out the skeleton of the evil dragon, and is already gearing up to do something big. Su Xian also said goodbye to the great master craftsman and set off for the residence of King Wuan. 10 minutes later, Su Xian appeared in King Wuan's office. You kid. Have you reached the feudal realm? The first time King Wuan saw Su Xian, he could tell that Su Xian had made a breakthrough. He looked around, his eyes like fire, as if he wanted to see Su Xian through. What a monster! Finally, King Wuan sighed, not bad, not bad. It's not in vain for me to enter the rift of another dimension to fish for you. I heard that you later entered the battlefield of the two realms. Yes. Su Xian nodded. After being forced into the rift of another dimension, I found an opportunity to kill King Suzuka's soul body, but I couldn't return to Blue Star. In desperation, I could only enter the two battlefields in a special way. King Wuan joked, you said it quite easily. In that case, most people would probably die miserably. He narrowed his eyes. I heard that a mysterious man appeared in the battlefield of the two realms recently, causing trouble everywhere. Even the actions of Lulan Star in the Screaming Cave were disturbed by him alone. How about cutting off the camp of the Third Army in the north, rescuing thousands of compatriots, and taking away the mysterious magic sword? There are many legends. He teased, boy, do you know that mysterious strong man? I don't know. Su Xian shook his head. It's okay if you don't know me. King Wuan said meaningfully, it is best not to know anyone, otherwise the life of that mysterious strong man may not be peaceful. Su Xian smiled calmly. King Wuan asked me to come here, maybe it's not just to talk about this, right? Certainly. Su Xian refused, and King Wuan knew it well. I asked you to come here this time mainly because of the abyss. The abyss medium was destroyed by you. Then you should know the situation best. Tell me about it. Recalling the scene at that time, Su Xian felt lingering fear. If it weren't for his space jump, which allowed him to ignore all space barriers, those truly powerful creatures from the abyss might have descended into the medium space and easily break into the Blue Star. The consequences are disastrous. He told King Wuan one by one about the abyss medium and gave his own analysis. I think creatures in the abyss world cannot enter Blue Star directly. They must enter through the media space. For now, there are two necessary conditions for them to enter Blue Star through the media space. Su Xian said, first, in the Blue Star world, there must be kings or strong men in the demigod realm to sacrifice for them, so as to activate the media space and allow abyssal creatures to sense the Blue Star with the help of the sacrifice energy. Moreover, the stronger the abyssal creatures are, the more difficult it is to enter the media space and the longer it takes. This is why only the abyssal Zerg came in at the beginning. King Wuan nodded. Our official high-level officials have also analyzed it, and it is similar to what you said, but the total number of powerful kings in the world can be said to be too many or too few. No one can guarantee that they will not be penetrated by the abyss. Indeed. Su Suandeo, as the saying goes, it's hard to guard against thieves day and night. If someone is willing to be a lackey, no one can stop him. Then we must work on the second necessary condition. Judging from King Suzuka's actions that day, even if there are lackeys willing to sacrifice to the abyss, they must find the corresponding weak point in space. The point near Longdu City should be the only weak point they found. If there were other breakthrough points, there was no need for them to take risks and move from Longdu City. King Wuan agreed very much with Su Xian's point of view and said worriedly, Longdu City is indeed safe. The rebels took advantage of the loophole that day and deliberately set up a trap to lure out the big king and kill them. Unfortunately, they failed. If it were comprehensive protection, there wouldn't be so many problems. I am afraid that the abyss will find the second and third points. If those points are in remote small cities or even in the wilderness, then the problem will be big. Su Suandeo, in my understanding, if the demigods are unable to take action, the invasion of the abyss will come sooner or later, it's just a matter of sooner or later. It might be tomorrow, it might be 100 or 1,000 years later, no one knows. If that day comes, what we can do is give priority to protecting the borders of the Dragon Kingdom, at least not to let disaster happen in the Dragon Kingdom. We can fight back against the Lowland Star, and the abyss will not be so terrifying that it can crush the Lowland Star. You think about the same thing as me. King Wuan said, do you have any means that can help the military prevent it in advance? Su Xian smiled bitterly, you think too highly of me, but I do have a suggestion that may be of some use. I can simulate the fluctuations when the abyss activates the medium space. You can negotiate with the higher UPS to write this kind of fluctuation into the Sky-Eye system. Under the supervision of the Sky-Eye system, at least the Dragon Kingdom can be guaranteed to be worry-free. As for whether it will be adopted by foreign countries, it depends on your ideas. King Wuan was a little surprised. Are you sure you can accurately simulate the fluctuations when the abyss activates the medium space? That's not easy. Yes. Su Xian nodded firmly. With the prototype of the chaotic body, he has a very strong perception of space. Since he can travel through it, it is natural for him to simulate that kind of fluctuation. You are getting better and better. King Wuan gave a thumbs up. One more thing, have you got the 3 semi-god level secret techniques? I got them, Su Xian admitted frankly. Do I need to give them to you? No. King Wuan said, you risked your life for these things, and we are embarrassed to take them back, not to mention that 2 of them were originally rewards for your 2 disciples to win the championship. The official will never be stingy for those who win honor for the country. Su Xian was not polite. Then I will accept it. The techniques recorded on the scroll by the official are different from those given by the system. The scroll techniques are passed on to the younger generation in the form of spiritual imprints and can only be used once. And there is only one inheritance. Without the personal guidance of the master, it is difficult for the younger generation to learn all of them, unless they are really very compatible. King Wuan asked again, boy, are you going to stay on Blue Star forever, or return to the battlefield between the 2 worlds? I've heard your story like thunder here. Su Xian was stunned. What story? You're pretending again. King Wuan looked down on him. What else could it be? It's just the love story between you and King Shui Yu, good boy. Others who fall into the rift of the other dimension have to survive. You are going on a honeymoon with a beautiful woman. Speaking of this, King Wuan felt depressed. He was worried for a long time at the beginning, and even felt a little guilty. The result? It's better not to say. Sincerity has been replaced by dog food. It's God's will, I can't do anything about it. Su Xian smiled. I'll stay in Blue Star for a while, and I'll return to the battlefield after I'm done. There are things waiting for me to do. Wuan Wang patted his shoulder. I can't control you, kid. I only have one request for you, live well. If you die, I'll be sad for several years. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbs feed -01, container, tabula below article feed, placement, below article feed, target. Type, mix. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 217. The battlefield between the two realms, the Red Moon Tavern. In the quiet dark-toned room, Lin Suying and Moira sipped wine and chatted. Xiao Suying, have you really thought about it? Moira looked at her. To tell you the truth, Su Xian is indeed the best candidate to go to Lulan Star for the mission, not to mention he is the one you trust the most. No. Lin Suying refused. I trust him the most, but I also can't let him go. With his potential, he may not be able to create miracles given time. I can't let him risk his life for me. Moira sighed. What about you? Why do you bear so much for this world again? A trace of fatigue flashed in Lin Suying's eyes. I don't want to either, but since I have been chosen, I have to do it, because there are people in this world that I am closest to and love the most. Moira stopped trying to persuade her and sighed. I don't know if that stinky man understands my little Suying's thoughts. He must understand, Lin Suying responded firmly. Moira sneered. If I were him, I would do this for you no matter what. How can you leave all your hard work to others? Stop talking. Lin Suying drank the wine in one gulp. I already have a suitable candidate in mind for this matter. Well. Moira raised her glass and looked at the sky. Little Suying has changed. In the past, little Suying always thought about problems from an absolute rationality, but now her judgment is affected by a man. Is this the magic of love? I also want to experience it. Lin Suying showed a helpless expression and put down the cup. I won't drink anymore. I will definitely take care of this matter. Looking at Lin Suying's leaving figure, Moira also stopped smiling and replaced it with a sad look. Recently, she always had a premonition that the elves would be in disaster. At the same time, at the junction of the third and fourth lines of defense in the two-world battlefield, in a large rift valley, a human team was moving slowly, lurking forward. Captain, do we really want to keep going forward? Going forward is the fourth line of defense. We are not familiar with the terrain there. Someone in the team spoke. What are you afraid of? The captain said, this is a great opportunity to make meritorious deeds. Judging from the actions of this Lulan Star team, they must be plotting something. Let's follow them. If you fight once, you might be successful. Xiao Kong and Aotian, don't you think so? Long Aotian's eyes were deep. Of course, I came to Lulan Star to kill all these Lulan Star monsters. I have long been disgusted by practicing with those mindless undead creatures every day. I, Long Aotian, want to kill all the enemies of Lulan Star. Sun Xiaokong also looked excited. Such a good opportunity cannot be passed up. Which of those top strong men has not come from a life of licking blood on the edge of a knife? I, Sun Xiaokong, will never be weaker than anyone else. If I have no ambition, how can I catch up with my predecessors? Encouraged by Sun Xiaokong and Long Aotian, the team slowly moved forward. Following the Lulin Star team, they crossed the third line of defense and entered the territory of the fourth line of defense. They were not very familiar with the terrain here. After following for some distance, the captain's expression changed. "Everyone, stop," he looked forward, and Luo Langxing's team suddenly changed direction and rushed towards them. "We have been discovered, prepare to meet the enemy." An encounter is inherently a conflict between reconnaissance and counter-reconnaissance. After being discovered, the captain did not panic, but ordered the soldiers to occupy various positions and set up defensive and offensive formations. Kill. The battle is about to break out. Sun Xiaokong and Long Aotian rushed out almost at the same time, charging at the enemy's mages and shooters. Behind him, the fire cover from the mages and shooters was also in place. After 3 months of training, Sun Xiaokong has become very proficient in team cooperation. His movement skills are extremely fast, and he can pass through the dense rain of magic spells and bullets, constantly closing the distance with the enemy's backline team. Boom! He suddenly threw out the stick, the ground cracked, and several boulders flew up and were knocked out. Taking advantage of the cover of the boulder, Sun Xiaokong made another sweeping move with the stick in his hand. His strength was as strong as the sea, and he swept out a shockwave to push back the Lulin Star warriors who came to stop him. Long Aotian also showed great bravery, blocking 3 Tianhe level monsters with 1 person and 1 sword. The overall strength of this Lulin Star team does not seem to be strong. Just when they thought they were about to win the battle, there were sudden auras rising from the east and west directions, and there were reinforcements from Lowland Star. "Oh no, it's an ambush." The captain was a little annoyed. "Escape, pass through the underground river from below the Great Rift Valley." On the way here, the captain had already planned the route. If there was an ambush, entering the underground river from the Great Rift Valley would be the best retreat route. That's what encounters are like. Sacrifice is possible at any time. From the moment you step into the battlefield, you should be prepared to sacrifice. The team was well trained and immediately retreated to the bottom of the Great Rift Valley as soon as the situation changed. As long as they entered the underground river, they would be safe. Oh, another ambush. Sun Xiaokong sighed and kept retreating. In the past 3 months, they had ambushed many teams from Lulin Star, and they had also been ambushed by Lulin Star teams, but this time the situation seemed to be the most serious. "I often walk by the river without getting my shoes wet. What's more, this is a battlefield between 2 realms." The team members retreated into the Great Rift Valley one by one. At this moment, a scream suddenly came from below the Great Rift Valley. The screams echoed in the canyon, which was terrifying. Soul-eating ant swarm. The captain looked gloomy and looked at the Lulin Star team that was constantly chasing them. He clenched his fists and said, "I will clear the way for you and retreat to the underground river. It is definitely impossible to walk directly, and you can only use the complex terrain to deal with it." The captain's falling speed suddenly accelerated. A circle really appeared around him, and the aura of the peak of the Tianhe realm burst out, falling into the soul-eating ant colony, and forcefully opened a path. "Everyone, go, quickly." The team members did not hesitate and took advantage of the captain to open a gap and continued to escape into the river. At this time, any hesitation would endanger the captain's life and be irresponsible to other team members. A team without adequate execution will only fail miserably. As the team members entered the underground river one by one, the captain's defense was broken by endless soul-eating ants, and the last 2 were Sun Xiaokong and Long Aotian. "Xiaokong, Aotian, stay alive. Take them and escape." The captain resolutely started to burn his life soul, and in exchange for the final strength, he once again rushed away from the swarm of soul-eating ants. All he can do is to use his life to fight for a chance for this group of young people with great potential. Whoosh! Whoosh! Sun Xiaokong and Long Aotian turned into 2 streams of light and penetrated into the entrance of the underground river. As they entered, the swarm of soul-eating ants completely submerged the captain's body. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 218. Team Leader. Captain, he, is dead. Entering the underground river, the team members' eyes were red, and several girls even started sobbing softly. The captain who had taken care of them for 3 months was gone, and the sadness in his heart was hard to suppress. Sun Xiaokong was also very sad, but he knew that the captain was dead and he had to take these team members back. If the entire army was wiped out here, it would really become a joke. Everyone, cheer up. Sun Xiaokong shouted, now is not the time to be sad. The monsters from Lulan Star will soon be chasing us. We must leave as soon as possible. He glanced at the team members and fled into the distance. Long Aotian said coldly, if you think that the captain died here just to make you cry, then you can bury him here. If you don't want the captain to die in peace, then leave. I'll stay behind. I'll stay too. Count me in. Several team members stood up. They were all veterans of the team. They had fought with the captain for many years. Now that they were facing a life and death crisis, they no longer wanted to escape. Let's go. The veterans smiled bitterly and said, if we all go together, we will definitely be overtaken. Let the few of us stay here to delay time and leave quickly. The veterans' voices were calm. Having gone through hundreds of battles, they have long lost sight of life and death. Being born in the Dragon Kingdom, I have no regrets. See you in the next life. The veterans resolutely changed their direction and rushed towards the entrance of the underground river. The recruits suppressed their hearts and retreated back again. If we delay further, more people will die. The new recruits bowed to the veterans and fled into the distance again. They didn't go far when they heard the smell of fighting coming from behind, but it lasted for less than a minute before the fighting smell disappeared. The recruits held back tears because they knew it was the veterans who had sacrificed their lives. Sun Xiaokong looked at Long Aotian with a heavy expression, let's divide our troops into 2 groups. Otherwise, no one will be able to escape. One group will leave the underground river from the front, and the other group will continue walking along the underground river. How about that? Long Aotian nodded, okay. Both of them were quite prestigious in the team, and the other members of the team did not resist their command very much, and they were soon divided into 2 groups. I'll go up there. Long Aotian took the initiative to take over the important task. The road above is undoubtedly more dangerous than below. Because in the dark river, you only need to take care of the pursuers behind you, but there are likely to be other ambushes above, and you may be killed by a sniper if you are not careful. Before Sun Xiaokong could answer, Long Aotian had already led his team and rushed upward. Hello. Sun Xiaokong looked at his opponent and friend who had been tit for tat with him, and only said one sentence, if you die, I will avenge you. Long Aotian looked proud and sneered, I will avenge you even if you die, but I would rather see you in the military camp. The 2 groups parted ways. After escaping for another distance, Sun Xiaokong felt that the pursuers behind him were getting closer and closer, but the number of enemy teams had decreased a bit, so they should have divided some of them to chase Long Aotian and the others. Xiaokong, let's fight, someone in the team suggested, we can't leave. There are large beasts on Lulan planet that are good at chasing. We can't escape. Sun Xiaokong glanced at it. The physical fitness of several new recruits in the mage profession has completely failed to keep up. If this continues, the entire team will be torn into pieces and defeated one by one. Then fight. Sun Xiaokong had long been fed up with this kind of frustration, and escaping had never been their style. This battle can also give Long Aotian and the others a chance to survive. Array up. Fighting in a narrow area like an underground river obviously has an advantage for the side with the smaller number of people. The combined fire blockade of mages and marksmen can easily disrupt the enemy's advance. Ice-sealed door. The two elemental mages in the team took the lead, creating ice walls and releasing mist to interfere with their breath. Only by fighting in chaos could they hope to win with less. Sun Xiaokong gathered his breath and fell into the underground river, waiting for an opportunity. The team members quickly entered a fighting state. The Lulan Star team chased after them. They had a clear advantage in numbers, and Lulan Star's cooperation was simpler and rougher. Among them are monsters that specialize in charging into battle, with rough skin and thick flesh standing at the front. The shooters and mage monsters in the rear also have all kinds of strange methods. From the moment the confrontation began, it was already a fight to the death. Sun Xiaokong quietly approached the rear of the enemy team from below the underground river, but a pair of eyes appeared in front of him. The moment their eyes touched, the two of them took action at the same time. Boom! Swinging the long stick, it stirred up a stormy sea and killed the sneaking assassin from Starlowland with one stick. At the same time, Sun Xiaokong jumped up and rushed straight into the enemy's back row. Strong fighting spirit broke out. Even though the enemy was outnumbered and we were outnumbered, he showed no fear at all and was filled with murderous intent. Boom! Another stick was thrown out, the ground was split, and the water of the underground river rolled out. There was no monster at the same level that could survive 3 sticks in Sun Xiaokong's hand. But other team members were a little miserable. Under the attack of monsters, some team members had already died. Sun Xiaokong's eyes turned red. He didn't know how many monsters had died in his hands. His arms were numb, and there were countless wounds on his body. Venom and fire were corroding and burning his body. He could barely hold on with the help of the special life field. The speed of recovery was still not as fast as the severity of the injury. Sun Xiaokong could feel the increasing number of enemies, which meant that his team members could no longer hold on. Are we going to die here? Sun Xiaokong's body was shaky. A figure flashed in his eyes, the fighting senior Dingai Wang, the kind and approachable teacher, the third senior sister who always fed her chicken soup, the childish second senior sister, the dull eldest senior brother. No. Sun Xiaokong took a deep breath and clenched the long stick in his hand. He wanted to keep fighting. Surpass everything and stand at the top of this world. Kill. The special substance that had appeared in the competition connected his body again. He knew that this was a gift from the third senior sister and his last resort. But this time, it was not a competition. Once the effect was over, if no one saved him, he would still die here. But so what? As long as he could kill all the enemies in front of him, it would be worth it. Fight. Fight again. The will to fight was as deep as the abyss. Sun Xiaokong hovered between the edge of death and the peak of will to fight, smashing one enemy after another. His eyes were completely stained with blood. He used all his strength to swing the last stick. The long stick was stuck in the ground, against his body. In front of him, there was only a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, no enemies and no teammates. The dark river was stained with blood. Broken limbs and corpses floated on the water. Everything in front of him became blurred, and Sun Xiaokong's body fell backwards and fell into the dark river with a splash. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 10,000 times return. I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 219. I don't know how long it took. Sun Xiaokong opened his eyes blankly. His limbs, internal organs, meridians, and sea of consciousness, every part of his body felt intense pain. His body seemed to be completely broken, and it was difficult to move. Surprisingly, he was not dead. Sun Xiaokong looked up, and the water of the dark river did not fall, as if the space was separated by something. He turned his head with difficulty and looked to the side. His eyes suddenly froze. Where his eyes touched, there was a tall and majestic figure. His beard and hair were all white, standing proudly, and under his feet, 9 hideous and terrifying monster heads rolled down. Ding, King Dingai! Sun Xiaokong shouted in horror, but he soon found that King Dingai had long been dead. The tall and majestic figure standing here, the figure fighting against heaven and earth, was just the corpse of the predecessor King Dingai. Looking at the body that had guarded Dingai Wang City for 300 years, Sun Xiaokong was filled with grief, depression, discomfort, and all kinds of emotions swept through his heart. He remembered the year of graduation. When he first came to Dingai Wang City, he clamored that he must surpass Dingai Wang in the future. At that time, he was only at the initial stage of the starry realm, and his strength was pitifully weak. When he enrolled, he met Dingai Wang once, and Dingai Wang smiled and told him to cheer up and work hard to win glory for Dingai Academy first. There will definitely be a chance to surpass himself in the future. Later, during the rebel attack, Dingai Wang almost died. Although he barely survived, he was also a dying man. That incident was a great stimulus to him. Before meeting the teacher, surpassing Dingai Wang had always been his goal, and it is still the same until now. Looking at the dark river water rolling above, Sun Xiaokong was indescribable, and murmured, "Even though you have passed away, are you still protecting us?" If it weren't for the corpse of King Dingai blocking the water of the dark river, I'm afraid he would have been a floating corpse at this time. Although King Dingai has fallen, his corpse still exudes an extremely strong fighting spirit, and it is those fighting spirits that nourish his body. Let him keep a glimmer of life. Senior King Dingai, I will take you home. Sun Xiaokong's eyes were firm, and his strong will to survive allowed him to constantly absorb the shocking fighting spirit emitted by King Dingai, and the energy of heaven and earth was also restoring his body for him. After a long time, his body was barely able to move, and he stood up with difficulty. He walked to the corpse of King Dingai. He saw the smile on King Dingai's mouth. The deadline had come, and King Dingai's open-mindedness had long surpassed the boundary of life and death. Intent on pacifying the world, he finally did the last thing he could do for the human race in the dark river. The monster head on the ground exuded a terrifying aura, which made Sun Xiaokong feel a strong pressure, which showed how powerful this dead monster was when it was alive. Even so, it was still killed by the elderly King Dingai. Sun Xiaokong wanted to use the space ring to preserve the monster's head and King Dingai's corpse, but found that the quality of the space ring he was wearing could not withstand the aura of the two. In desperation, Sun Xiaokong could only recover from his injuries first and then make plans. With his current physical condition, he couldn't even get out of the dark river. That's it. Sun Xiaokong stayed under the dark river to recuperate. In the blink of an eye, a week had passed. With the help of King Dingai's fighting spirit, Sun Xiaokong's injuries were fully recovered. Sun Xiaokong, the fourth disciple of Su Xian, a member of the 2nd Combat Battalion of the 3rd Army of the Dragon Kingdom, and a student of Dingai Academy, thanks King Dingai for saving his life. Sun Xiaokong walked to the corpse of King Dingai, first knelt down and saluted, thanked him for saving his life, and then stood up firmly. You have worked hard. Junior will take you home. He carried King Dingai's body on his back and was about to leave, but saw something fall down, which was an information recording scroll. Sun Xiaokong did not open it. Since it was an information recording scroll, it should be the last words left by the predecessor King Dingai. The space ring could not carry the majestic aura of King Dingai, so Sun Xiaokong could only carry his corpse and break through the water of the dark river to go out. He came to the top of the dark river. This is no longer the place where he fell into the river, and he should have drifted back a distance. I don't know how long Aotian and the others are doing. Sun Xiaokong looked worried. Although he killed all the pursuing Lulan Star team that day, he was exhausted. If he had not been protected by the senior Dingai Wang, he would have died. Even he was forced into this situation, Long Aotian and the others might not be in a good situation either. Along the dark river, Sun Xiaokong continued to move forward. He knew that the way back would not be easy. The aura of King Dingai was too strong, which would attract the covetousness of many enemies and native creatures. The next journey was destined to be difficult. After walking for a while, until entering the territory of the third line of defense, Sun Xiaokong dared to leave the underground dark river and take the road above. He must find a contact point as soon as possible. It was basically impossible for him to bring King Dingai's corpse back to the base of the 3rd Legion alone. Awoo! When he came to the top, before he walked far, Sun Xiaokong heard the howl of wolves. Gas wolf. His face changed. The Gale wolf is one of the native creatures in the battlefield of the two worlds. Once it appears, there must be more than 10 wolves, with strength ranging from the star level to the Tianhe level. The Wolf King may even reach the level of Marquis. The most important thing is that the Wind Wolf is so fast that few prey can escape their pursuit. The moment he heard the howl of the wolf, Sun Xiaokong quickened his pace and ran forward crazily. It was not only the Gale wolf pack that was attracted, but other creatures also came smelling the smell of blood. He could even feel the scent of the Lowland Star team lurking in the dark. He kept running away carrying King Dingai's body on his back. Whoosh! Suddenly, several spikes in the grass shot toward him. Poof! One of them sank directly into his thigh. Sun Xiaokong stumbled and rolled forward with King Dingai's body. Ignoring the pain, he stood up and continued to move forward. He didn't dare to fly into the air. It is too easy to become a target in the air. In the jungle, you can at least use trees as cover to avoid some attacks. Fall down and get up again, fall down again, get up again. Sun Xiaokong had long forgotten the pain. He only had one belief in his heart, to send Senior Neptune home. Ouch! At this moment, a shuddering wolf howl came from the side, and a figure that could not be caught was coming towards the side at a very fast speed. It's the Gale Wolf King. Sun Xiaokong felt desperate. With his current strength, he was completely unable to compete with a creature of the level of the Wolf King. He tightened his grip on the long stick in his hand, no matter how big the gap was. Even in the face of God, he, Sun Xiaokong, would never sit still and wait for death. The Wolf King came riding the wind and rushed to Sun Xiaokong in an instant. Puff! The next second, the Wolf King's body flew out upside down. Blood is everywhere. A curve of lake appeared between heaven and earth. The chasing pack of wolves and those with evil intentions all retreated. Sun Xiaokong looked up and saw only a magnificent figure holding an aqua blue sword. A sword. All enemies are like a broken enemy. Like the mortal sword fairy. Walk. Lin Suying's cold voice sounded. Thank you, Master. Sun Xiaokong finally let go of his hanging heart. With his master's wife here, there is a safe road behind him for thousands of miles. He fled forward. Behind. It's a monstrous sword energy. It's the anger from another king in Dingai King City. On that day, sword energy spread thousands of miles around the perimeter of the third line of defense, staining the road with blood as a sacrifice to EBI's spirit in the sky. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us. We will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. 10,000 times return, I am a mentor in the Novice Village. Author, Mingtong Shui. Chapter 220. When Sun Xiaokong appeared at the base of the Dragon Country Third Army with the corpse of King Dingai on his back, everyone was shocked. More than 10 days had passed. They all thought that Sun Xiaokong had died in the battle, but they did not expect that Sun Xiaokong not only came back, but also brought back the corpse of King Dingai. The death of King Dingai made the atmosphere of the entire Third Army heavy. Although they had previously guessed that King Dingai had fallen, when they saw it with their own eyes, they still could not hide the surging emotions in their hearts. The entire Dragon Country Third Army, including the Corps Marshal Chongming King, had been a junior who had been taken care of by King Dingai. Everyone consciously made way. Sun Xiaokong walked forward step by step with the corpse of King Dingai on his back. Wherever he passed, the soldiers all bowed their heads in solemnity. Walking on the flat road, Sun Xiaokong had never felt that his steps were so heavy as at this moment. King Shuiyu also followed behind him holding the blood-stained Shuiyu sword. They walked for a long time. Sun Xiaokong raised his head. In front of him was the entrance to the Blue Star from the battlefield of the two worlds. From there, he would be outside Dingai Wangcheng and see Hai Lao's home. Today's Dingai Wangcheng is extremely prosperous. But it was just a rotten land that was almost broken. Dingai Wang was invited by the government to sit here. He sat there for 300 years. He was more like an old father, watching Dingai Wangcheng grow up to this day. There are countless geniuses in the later era. In the process of accompanying Dingai Wangcheng's growth, the elderly Dingai Wang was surpassed by others, but his significance to Dingai Wangcheng is unmatched by anyone. The old father is about to return to his child's new home. Sun Xiaokong walked towards the entrance of the space step by step. At the moment he was about to step into the entrance, a uniform voice came from the back. "Salute." Chongming Wang stood at the forefront of the army, holding his head high and offering a military salute that represents high respect. All the soldiers in the back did the same. "All the soldiers of the Dragon Kingdom Third Army, welcome King Dingai home." "All the soldiers of the Dragon Kingdom Third Army, welcome King Dingai home." "All the soldiers of the Dragon Kingdom Third Army, welcome King Dingai home." Thousands of soldiers bowed their heads. The low, thunderous voice echoed between heaven and earth. The heavy emotions hit everyone's chest. Sun Xiaokong turned around, tears already welling up in his eyes. He raised his trembling hands, saluted the soldiers of the Third Army, turned around resolutely, and stepped into the space channel. When the light reappeared, Sun Xiaokong appeared at the entrance garrison base. The stationed garrison obviously knew the situation inside. He held the communicator and shouted with all his strength, "Brothers and sisters of the King's City, the governor is back. Everyone, let us escort the governor home." Behind Sun Xiaokong, more and more soldiers followed. Ahead was the Dingai King City. Although it was dark at this time, the lights of the thousands of houses in the King City could still illuminate the way home. The noise became louder and louder, alarming the people in the King City. Countless people poured out of their homes, and the roads were filled with people. Some people didn't know what was going on. They only heard someone shouting, "The King of Dingai is back." Looking outside, they saw a young man carrying an old man on his back, dragging heavy steps forward. Suddenly, two figures rushed out of the crowd. They knelt on the ground with a plop, tears streaming down their rough faces. They were the two disciples of the King of Dingai, Yang Yuanho and Chang Enho. "Teacher." At this moment, the two veterans knelt on the ground, crying heart-wrenchingly, like children. When Sun Xiaokong looked forward, the whole street was full of people, and the lights of thousands of houses lit up the dark sky, brighter than the day. "Hai Lao, did you see it?" Sun Xiaokong burst into tears. "Tonight, thousands of lights are lit for you. Today, the streets are empty, welcoming you home." He walked step by step to the sealed Dingai Palace. With the departure of the Dingai King, the palace became empty. Hai Lao's family was full of loyal heroes. 100 years ago, after his grandson died in the battlefield between the two worlds, Hai Lao's family had no descendants. But Hai Lao was not abandoned. At this moment, the entire Dingai city was his home. Su Xian's figure appeared in the crowd. He did not disturb his disciples. He stood there silently and watched his disciples send Hai Lao's body to the mourning hall. Chang Enho and Yang Yuanho came up with grief. Sun Xiaokong took out the information scroll left by Hai Lao and handed it to the two of them, saying in a deep voice, Hai Lao has no descendants in the world. You two are Hai Lao's direct disciples, so this thing will be given to you. This is also the only thing left by Hai Lao. Chang and Ho stepped forward and took the scroll. Since it is an information scroll, I think it is some self-narration left by the teacher, so open it and let everyone see it. Marquis Yongyuan also said, the teacher was open-minded all his life. I think the only thing he cared about before his death was the royal city. Under the gaze of countless people, Marquis Chang'an activated the information scroll. The last trace of King Dingai's spiritual imprint left in this world was activated. In mid-air, the shadow of King Dingai slowly emerged. The descendants of the human race, when you see this, I will be dead. He coughed twice, probably because he was already at the end of his strength when recording the information scroll. Don't be sad. Death is nothing to me. In April of the new calendar year 501, King Dingai of the Dragon Kingdom entered the semi-god realm and killed the Hydra King of Lulan Star. Everyone remember, King Dingai, did not die in a cowardly way, ha ha ha. The laughter gradually faded. Everyone was filled with grief. The spiritual imprint of King Dingai became weaker and weaker. Okay, descendants of the human race. I, the old man, am really leaving this time. If you are moved, you must not cry in front of me. People will die anyway. He looked up. At that time, he was looking at the rolling dark river. At this moment, he was looking at the lights of the Dingai King city. The King Dingai's eyes became soft and kind, as if he was really looking at everyone. Where I fall, another person will stand up. The road I haven't finished will definitely be continued by someone else. Just like the wind of the blue star will not stop, the flag of the Dragon Kingdom will always fly in the wind. King Dingai will not return to the sea today, and is willing to sacrifice his blood for the prosperity of the human race. May the mountains and rivers be safe and the light shine for thousands of years. The shadow dissipated. The breeze blew, bringing tears to countless people in Dingai Wangcheng. In the crowd, Su Xian stood there in a daze, his inner sense of belonging was being pulled towards this world bit by bit. He bowed with the crowd. Tonight, King Dingai rests forever. Tonight, the Wangcheng does not sleep. May the mountains and rivers be safe and the light shine for thousands of years.